70% of GDP is actually higher than most European countries had in the Soviet era. Northern Ireland is more socialist than many countries in the former Soviet Empire. That clearly can't be sustained. We saw what's happened to them, and the same sort of things would happen to us. I think that such a large proportion of the economy being in the public sector means that it robs people of local initiative and decision making. And of course you've got a democratic problem as well, which is that the more people who are dependent upon the state, and the more they are likely to vote for a larger state, and that really is extremely bad for minorities who are not part of the 70%, and that means it's very bad for the wealth creating part of the economy. I think you need to look at the core functions of government and see what government is there to actually do. And don't let it do other things that are marginal, that we just simply can't afford anymore. I think you probably have to reduce the size of the public sector in Northern Ireland by roughly half. That means that you must focus on the things that you do want to preserve, which are important, and cut out the things which you can do without, or find different ways of doing those other things. So I think you need to focus on things like health and education, but you need to find ways of doing them in a different sort of way, that instead of everything being done by the government, but the finance being done by the government and the provision being done by the government, perhaps we should actually be supporting the users of these services, parents and patients, but letting them shop around, public or private. So I think these are the big ticket items that you need to focus on, and that's really where you've got some radical rethinking to come. One of the things that really does cripple economies is high regulation on business, particularly on small business, because regulations prevent people from starting up new businesses and expanding new businesses, and that's extremely bad for job creation and for the future of your economy. So I think that one of the important things you really need to focus on is looking at how you can reduce the regulation on small businesses in particular, but in fact in all business, so that you're liberating the private sector to go out there and generate wealth and prosperity and jobs, and that is what will get us out of an economic downturn. I think you've got every opportunity to make a real difference, much more so than some other parts of the United Kingdom. You have local responsibility over quite a wide range of issues. That gives you the ability to do something about those issues and to actually do things in a different way and to make a difference. You've also got more cultural and indeed political diversity than you have in some other parts of the United Kingdom. I think you've got more people with more ideas who can come forward and work out new ways of delivering essential services that don't involve big and bureaucratic government. And I think you're also well served by an education system which produces very well educated people. Again, that's something which not every part of the United Kingdom actually has, and that again works in your favour. So I think there's every opportunity to make a difference, and I think you should go for it. I think the first thing I would do is send all of the quangos home on full pay, and then come back a year later and see which ones we were missing, because I think most of them probably we can do without. So that's one level of bureaucracy you can get rid of. But what you must do, I think, is to devolve decision-making down to as local a decision-making process as you possibly can. Down not just to local authorities, but down to the individuals themselves, if you possibly can do that, right down to the localities. You need to open up government services to competition. There's no reason why government should have an effective monopoly over the supply of healthcare services or even schools. If it's doing a good job, then people won't be able to compete with it. If it's not, then we should welcome competition in order to bring in fresh thinking into these services. And I think that another thing which is so crucially important in this part of the country is that the market, if we can leave decisions to the market, to allow people to make their own choices in the market, rather than to have the choices made through a political system, that is the best form of proportional representation that you could possibly get. We don't all have to agree on what colour suits or jackets or dresses we should produce. The market provides a huge variety of them, and we choose the ones that we think are right for ourselves. That's much better than having decisions made centrally by politicians where everybody has to agree what needs to be done, and of course that is a recipe for conflict. So I think there's nothing to be lost from clearing politicians out of as much of our lives as possible and trusting to our own decisions and to the market to deliver things that we really need.